Hey everybody, welcome back to For Starters. Today we wanted to check in on AI because there's a lot of discussion as to whether the AI boom is still going strong, whether it's over, whether the hype is broken. And so we thought we'd share a few of our thoughts and experience over the last few months in looking at startups that are powered by AI. In terms of how we think about playing a trend, by the way, there's really two ideal times to do that. The first thing is to front run a trend. And we're happy that we had made investments in AI, fundamental AI companies for years before the last, 18 months or so. But another interesting time to play a trend is when the initial hype starts to recede and people start to wonder what is really going on here. And suddenly there are opportunities that might have 6 months ago or 12 months ago been impossible to attain that suddenly become accessible and really interesting. And so that may be that we're in that moment in the AI cycle, which is that there's some really interesting things bubbling up. But that maybe some of the hype, some of the shine is off of it, and some of the absolute frenzy that we were seeing some time ago is now receding. So a couple of level setting things around AI. First of all, in my experience anyway, this is an industry which, from a historical perspective, has consolidated the key players, the people sitting on top of the oil wells of data, if you will, as fast, if not faster, than any industry in human history. A couple of statistics. There are about $123 billion invested in all technology startups in 2022. In 2023, that number crashed down to $66 billion. This is according to PitchBook, which is one of the industry data sources of record. But what's interesting within that number, it's not just that half as much venture capital went into tech between 23 and 22. It's that of the 66 billion, over 40 billion went to only 5 companies. And those are the fundamental large language model companies that we've all heard so much about. So this is OpenAI, Anthropic, Human, Builder, and X. And that's an extraordinary concentration of resources, and it generated an enormous amount of hype in those companies. Now, we can talk on another video one time about the structure in which those massive investments flowed into those companies, the fact that most of them are paired up with a very large major corporation that owns very special rights in those companies. It's a very unusual way in which these companies have been funded. But at a fundamental level, the core data source companies here that are running the large models are kind of set. And so then the question becomes, well, is it over? Did everyone miss the boat? And the answer is, in our opinion, no, but it depends very much on how you think about investing in AI. And there are two overarching things that at least our firm is using as essentially a framework for thinking about AI investing going forward now. The first, and I'll start with it because it's really important to us, is investing in AI in a safe and inclusive manner. AI is, in the words of a CEO that I spoke to recently, potentially the cape that can turn every human into a superhuman, but that is a promise that can only be fulfilled if the power and the benefits of AI are distributed with some equality and some access around populations. So one of the things we're looking for is companies that really believe that, companies that may have diverse founding teams, just like our overarching thesis here at HL, that can bring the power of AI to a more inclusive set of beneficiaries. Also, though, we want leadership in those companies that is going to think long and hard about the safety, the privacy, and the power of AI from a defensive perspective, because these are very, very powerful new technologies, and so they have to be deployed responsibly. And so when we're talking to CEOs, both the existing CEOs in our portfolio and ones going forward, we want them not only to share with us the power and potential of the AI that they are creating and the application thereof, but also to come with some humility and some realization that this is powerful technology that requires safety, a thoughtful approach to inclusivity, and a sense of how and when they're protecting and using folks' data. So that's number one. Number two, though, is application of AI into really interesting spaces. And of course, for us, a firm that's dedicated to investing in startups at the nexus of growth, impact, and diversity, there is a lot of potential for AI to help build really impactful companies. A few examples, just picking one space that's been really meaningful for us lately, which is the healthcare and wellness space. We have companies in our portfolio like Sourcero, which is an AI that is helping pharmaceutical companies and healthcare companies become much, much smarter about not only the enormous amount of data, but all the different places in which that data resides around treatments and therapies for patients. Sourcero is having a direct and really measurable impact. It's growing really quickly. It is led by a wonderful female founder, Depananda Das, and an amazing diverse team. And we think very highly about how this company is applying the power of AI to helping heal people and help the companies that are developing the therapies of the future navigate the massive data sets that they have to navigate to create those solutions for people. Another company that's very new in our portfolio that we're excited about is a company called Pathfinder Health. This is a company with a military veteran co-founder, and the company is focused on using AI to help analyze the development of very young children. So as someone who has a young child at home, the thought that there would be an ability to look at video and both track developmental markers and also get early warning as to potential pathologies is really powerful. And the fact that this company works with pediatricians and health systems is a way to create trust and actually create some of that safety and responsibility around privacy and data that I think is so important. So Pathfinder Health is a very exciting company in our portfolio as well. And last but not least, and there's been some recent press around this company, Myavana, which is focused on the wellness space around hair health, although we believe that there's going to be interesting health data that then comes out of the work of Myavana, has just raised a round, founded by a female founder of color. Myavana is using a very deep and powerful technology to analyze hair, provide trusted recommendations to consumers, and again, we think that over time, the analysis of hair at a deep level can actually generate some very interesting healthcare data as well, and we think the company is thinking really critically about that and very powerfully. So, in a sense, how is AI doing? Well, we might be through the first cycle of the hype cycle, but that's not to say that there's not really interesting things going on in the space. We think as long as companies are bringing an application of safety, inclusivity, and a humility around the power of this technology, that AIs that are applied to really meaningful and impactful problems for humans are really very interesting possible investments and really exciting for the future.